Hey everyone, Michael back at you again. This presentation is going to be on human cloning and the real reptilian agenda. I've talked about a lot of various stuff pertaining to this in the past, so please check out some of my prior work. I've hoped to expose and magnify the evil intention behind the elite's plan to hijack the human race and control all of society. If you've ever seen the movie Replicas, there's a scene where the clones don't even know they're clones, so sorry if I offend anybody here. All kidding aside, this is a very deeply personal matter to me. I have deep roots to Slavic countries where this is very prevalent, and have seen this firsthand with young girls. And it's very sad how they exploit these people from many countries all over the world. My mother, I believe personally, has had children stolen from her. She comes from ABRH negative lineage, and there's been many governmental umbrella programs. This ties into like the CIA, the Navy, the Air Force, cloning programs that they've done, alien agendas, and so forth. Not really a whole lot of work. It goes as deep as the knowledge that I have, but like I said, I'm vehemently opposed to human cloning and pretty much all in vitro fertilization. I believe if people can't conceive on their own, that maybe it's from external forces, environmental factors, or God is trying to tell them that maybe they shouldn't have kids together. There's many reasons I don't like it, but ultimately it messes with lineages as well, which is not good. It's not natural, and it also messes with natural selection and like evolutionary traits that are important for the human race to survive and thrive. There's been many advancements in embryology, the mapping of the human genome, and other things as well. There's different implicit meanings of cloning. If you look it up in the dictionary, some of it is like to achieve a certain desired effect in the phenotypic offspring, maybe just like one, like a thoroughbred racehorse, for instance. Other ones are like to have like multiple like quadruplets, like twins, triplets, to all have like the same exact genetic traits. It's like this elite sycophantic desire to basically pursue genetic perfection. And if you think of it from a debaucherous standpoint, like these people like Epstein, they have, that's what they do. I mean, they have like these women induced with like twins, quadruplets, triplets. After a while, they realize it's easier just to clone babies instead of constantly having to go to Ukraine or Russia and find these girls at modeling contests and go through the visa process, which is not very easy, I must say, and it's like very draws major red flags right off the bat. I'm gonna try to cover a contrarian point of view in this whole presentation, and I understand from a guy's standpoint it's difficult to get girls. I understand why people would be into this, but like it's very like just sick, and like you have people also now that they get their wife impregnated with another man's sperm, and like their babies technically aren't theirs, and they have like incestual relationships with their little girls. It's very, very sick. And then like even like like they'll have these twins or whatever, and they'll have like incestual relationships between them, or like brother and sister, to try to achieve certain genetic like I guess like I said, traits. It's pretty sick. And give it a shout out here to Stanley Kubrick, Andrew Breitbart, and the late great Ted Gunderson. Stanley Kubrick, before he died, he made the movie Eyes Wide Shut, which exposed a lot of the elite sadists, like just debaucherous lifestyles, like their parties, these Eyes Wide Shut parties they have, and it ties exactly into what I'm saying here. And there's a lot more that like I'm not going to get into. A lot of it you actually probably couldn't talk about on like national television. It's so debaucherous. Andrew Breitbart, he talked about this with human sex trafficking. I presume that he knew exactly what I was talking about here with like the cloning programs, and I've never really heard too many people mention it like I am. And Ted Gunderson is probably the closest one that has. He's talked in depth about exposing the finders, and has gone to the Department of Justice with like his official FBI documents, trying to like expose this with the help of like senators and everybody else. And it's been shot down numerous times under national security. As I said, like I've read, I think I talked about these in the past. Mind control, world control, mass control, human engineering, or engineering human consciousness by Jim Keith. They talk about like the underground cloning chambers where they train these girls like from like 3 to 7 years old to do like every conceivable sexual act, and like they're like there's like a 3-tier system where at the very lower level you have like maybe cops, FBI agents or CIA people, people that they want to control and have like coercion with, and having like their henchmen. Then above them you have like lower and mid-level politicians, even like state like senators, everything else, and they basically get these people to have sex on TV, or not on TV, on camera, recorded with these kids, or young, pedophilia, and they're controlled at that point forward. Or they buy them off with drugs, or they give them money, anything they want. And like I said, it's tied in with the CIA, the Navy, the Air Force, and nobody talks about this whatsoever. You have to kind of ask, like I said, why would under national security this be classified? And it's exactly what I just said, because these are such high-profile people that it would disenfranchise the whole democratic system and expose a dominoing effect of a house of cards. You need to understand how the human sex trafficking has morphed into human sex cloning now. So like I said, you have like people that are having sex with their daughters, or it's a complete control of the genetics. And we also have things like organ harvesting. It's pretty serious. If you have several $1,000,000 or billions of dollars, more than likely these people have a body double or a clone, and they at any given time they have organ harvesting. And this is some real stuff that happens all over the world, every country, and it's a very big business. In vitro fertilization clinics get like $50,000 to $100,000 for these services, and the elites sell babies within their circles, and the drug cartel is also involved, probably. Pure evil. So let's stop our course, and like I said, talk about the contrarian views of why they're into this. And it's to remove. They're going to say it's to remove genetic imperfections and to improve mental hygiene. This is all BS. Basically they want, like I say, control of everything. And if you gave all the rich elites the food, lower quality food and water, that you'd find out that they're human just like everybody else. It's kind of a corollary into the book The Stepford Wives. It talks of this gentleman's club, which I presume is a pseudonym for the Freemasons. They've been into these eugenics programs for many years, I believe. I've talked in the past. I believe that they've kill off Slavic men and steal the Slavic girls, and basically other races as well, for aesthetically appealing women. And it's how they just keep certain races suppressed. And I never thought I would use a quote from Marilyn Manson, but it's like the beautiful people, the song. The weak ones are there to justify the strong. It's kind of what this is all about, almost. And let's clarify as well. There's several reasons, again, why people would do this, like for certain genetic traits, intelligence, like I said, bloodlines, alien phenomenon, or like healers. The blood of Jesus Christ was AB negative, even though you supposedly can't clone AB negative through in vitro. You can try to achieve that. Multinational corporations could use this for something like cyber espionage, or corporate espionage, I mean. And they have a deeper agenda, to control selective breeding. Like I talked in the past, they did this during slavery, where like they tried to breed the strong with the strong to get people that were going to work the best in the fields. Well, they want to do this too eventually, and like the beautiful people that I just mentioned will be like the ones that have the beautiful race and everything else. They'll eat good food, have beautiful people, have sex whenever they want, whatever. And then almost like everybody else is going to be like basically like neutered or whatever at birth, and they're like one race, one gender, no religion. Like those people will be slaves, and then they'll live maybe to 40, 50, 60 years old till they're no longer useful, and then they'll just be killed off. And that's like the real deep truth behind what they want to do. And like even further than that, I believe that they've attempted to steal the bloodlines of divinity. like through like basically human mapping or like a DNA banking. They've like they found out who is like all these like probably biblical like bloodlines, maybe from like tribes of Judah, and they like either stolen these bloodlines or whatever in an attempt to like thwart prophecy. And if this is true, you look at like the commandment, "Thou shalt not steal." Why would it not apply to the bloodlines of divinity? It's pretty self-explanatory. Also, Revelation, the very last passage, says, if anybody, like the very last thing it says, if anybody does anything to add or take from this book, their name shall be removed forever. I want to add a conspiracy theory in my own about like George Washington and other angels. I believe, like they say that George Washington never had kids. I believe like they stopped him from having kids, or maybe stole his kids, and they know that certain people are like angelic people or immortals, and that like the presence that they can have and the power over the masses, and that these people are like divine messengers sent here from God to expose and destroy evil like angels. And I believe that they stop him, they stop other people as well from having kids, but they'll steal the kids from them. And then they've done this to like the Kennedys as well. I believe the Kennedys were part of this. Maybe this is what John F. Kennedy was talking about a week before he was assassinated. He said there's an evil plot to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I plan to expose this, evil agenda. They killed him like a week after that. And trust me, like I said, nobody has mentioned this whatsoever. It's a huge house of cards. Ties into this whole thing with Jill Slane Maxwell. She most definitely knows exactly what I'm talking about with this human cloning. Goes into the royal family, goes into the Clintons, goes into, like I said, senators and politicians, even the Trump family, yes, many others. If you've ever seen, some rich guy, with some little Ukrainian girl, in like a wealthy suburb, you got to ask, is this guy like banging his daughter, or what's going on here? It's pretty sick. I consider myself a libertarian, but above all a constitutionalist and a lover of freedom and truth. And I'm a purveyor of like human rights and just a dignified lifestyle. And I don't believe that it's good for like morals of society to mess with genetics and lineages, and it's very evil in my opinion. If you've ever met a person that you suspected of being human trafficked, or let's say controlled, it's very very sad. In some cultures it's a normal thing. In some countries it happens all the time. Like I said, you'd be amazed. It could be your neighbor next door for all you know. It happens I think prevalently in they have these like colonies in certain communities. Imagine what they do on the private islands where they've been said to have these soirees. 20 or 30 years ago, somebody like me, an average guy, middle class, could meet a very attractive girl and start off a relationship. But now it's like the elites control all the top quality genes, and that's like what they want to do, and create like I said, this two-class system. And this already kind of goes on like say Muslim cultures where they arrange marriage, or India. And I had a girlfriend in the past that was Muslim, and she escaped her country to basically get away from the arranged marriage. And they do different things. They marry usually the rich with the rich first, then the smart with the smart, and then the good looking with the good looking. And it's kind of a form of human trafficking when you really think of it. But maybe it's good, maybe it's bad in some ways. Many of these victims, will never receive the justice they deserve. Someday I pray that truth and good will always prevail. Thank you for your time.